She says, this is from Brittney, every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called the freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Well, that pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Did Patrick BetDavid finally take it too far? Just one day after his viral takedown of Brittney Griner lit the internet on fire, new rumors are flying that someone from Griner's inner circle is pushing back, and hard. No official statement, no press conference. But behind the scenes, people close to Griner are allegedly furious.
And as she says, the whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either about my performance or some light racism. Definitely one of the two. Give me a flippin' break.
And here's where things get wild. Sources say the merchant of death comment, the one that had everyone talking, might have crossed a line, even for Griner's biggest critics. Now the question is, why hasn't she responded publicly? Is the silence part of a calculated move, or is the WNBA trying to keep the lid on something bigger? Because if even half of what's being whispered is true, this story is just getting started.
Brittney Griner voiced frustration in a recent interview, claiming that Caitlyn Clark is ruining what used to make the WNBA great. Wait for this.
Empty stands?
Tom, let me just...
Go ahead, I'm so mad.
WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done.
It all started on the latest episode of the Patrick BetDavid podcast, and within hours, the internet was on fire. What triggered the explosion? A now viral clip of Brittney Griner after a tough game against Caitlyn Clark's Indiana Fever. Griner, who had just fouled out, appeared to make snide comments aimed directly at Clark, downplaying the contact, mocking the crowd noise, and brushing off what fans saw as blatant aggression on the court.
But now, it's like there's a large gathering of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score like we're there for their entertainment. And that's pretty gross.
But that wasn't the part that lit the fuse. What came next was Patrick BetDavid and his co-host Vincent Oshana going off in a way that nobody expected. Oshana didn't just criticize Griner, he ripped into her, hard. He questioned her professionalism, called her comments trash, and said what millions of people were quietly thinking but too afraid to say. And then came the line that launched 1,000 quick tweets. "We traded the merchant of death for your ass, and you're out here running your mouth?" That line alone sent shockwaves through social media. Some fans cheered, others gasped. Sports influencers, reaction channels, and WNBA diehards all jumped into the firestorm. The clip racked up millions of views in a matter of hours, and just PBD started trending almost immediately. And just like that, the whole conversation around Caitlyn Clark, Brittney Griner, and the WNBA's internal chaos blew wide open. Suddenly, this wasn't just a podcast, hot take anymore. It became a full-blown media flashpoint. Debates erupted about race, respect, league image, and whether Griner was being unfairly attacked or finally held accountable. But just as the dust started to settle, a new question began floating around. Where was Brittney Griner's response? She'd gone radio silent. Not a single post, not a single interview, not even a cryptic emoji. And that silence, it only added fuel to the fire. Because while Griner stayed quiet, whispers started spreading. And what people were hearing behind the scenes changed everything. Here's where things get really interesting. While Brittney Griner hasn't made a public statement, rumors are swirling that the silence isn't because she has nothing to say. It's because people around her are telling her to stay quiet. According to alleged sources close to the situation, Griner's camp was livid after hearing Patrick BetDavid's rant, especially the part where her name was tied to a convicted Russian arms dealer. Behind closed doors, insiders claim the reaction was immediate. One person reportedly called the comments a deliberate attempt to humiliate her, and another allegedly warned that responding publicly could make things worse. But make no mistake. According to these whispers, Griner is furious. There's talk she wanted to set the record straight on her intentions during that post-game moment with Caitlyn Clark. Some say she never meant to stir controversy. Others believe she's angry the league hasn't come to her defense more aggressively in the face of public backlash. And here's the twist. Instead of speaking up, Griner has vanished from public view. Her social media has gone dark. No tweets, no interviews, no reaction to the viral clip. It's a calculated silence, and that silence is speaking louder than words. Supporters of PBD are calling it a win. They say she knows she got caught and can't clap back without making things worse. But Griner loyalists claim this is exactly what Patrick Bet-David wanted, to bait her into a war of words and shift the focus from the WNBA's deeper issues. And as the tension builds, so does the speculation. Is a formal statement coming? Will the WNBA intervene? Or is this all part of a behind-the-scenes PR move to let the fire burn out on its own? One thing's for sure, this isn't over. As Griner's silence dragged on, the internet did what it always does, split right, down the middle. On one side, supporters of Patrick Bet-David and his podcast were applauding the takedown as long overdue. They called it brave, unfiltered, and exactly the kind of truth-telling the sports world needs. To them, PBD wasn't attacking Griner personally. He was exposing what they see as the WNBA's real problem: hypocrisy, entitlement, and a refusal to hold its biggest names accountable. But not everyone agreed. Critics blasted the podcast for going too far, especially when Vincent Oshana invoked Griner's Russian detainment and prisoner swap. They argued that bringing up the Merchant of Death deal wasn't just harsh, it was low-blow territory. Some even accused PBD of exploiting a serious political situation just to get clicks. The media didn't help much either. Sports outlets were hesitant to touch the topic, but social media had no such filter. Hashtags like "Are PBD too far" and "Buck Protect Clark" started trending at the same time. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, with fans lobbing insults, defending their side, and demanding answers from the league itself. Meanwhile, WNBA officials stayed completely silent. No comment on the viral video, no support for Griner, no pushback on the Merchant comment, nothing. And that silence, it only made things worse, because now the public wasn't just asking about what was said, they were asking why nobody in the league was stepping in to address any of it. Not the insults, not the rumors, not the clear division it was creating among players and fans alike. And as that division deepened, so did the conversation around the WNBA's priorities. At this point, the conversation had outgrown just Brittney Griner or Patrick Bet-David. Now the spotlight was on the WNBA itself, and the question getting louder by the day. Who is the league really protecting, and why? When Angel Reese claimed fans hurled racist remarks from the crowd, the WNBA immediately launched an investigation, despite there being no clear footage, no confirmed audio, and no public witness statements. But when a player like Brittney Griner is caught on camera making what many interpreted as racially charged remarks toward Caitlyn Clark, crickets. No comment from the commissioner, no review, no warning, no fine, nothing. And that's exactly what the PBD crew hammered in their viral clip. They accused the league of running on double standards and selective outrage, and even called it business suicide disguised as activism. Their point was brutal but clear. The WNBA seems more interested in maintaining its social image than growing its audience or protecting its breakout star. Griner and Reese have become central figures in the league's push for visibility, but Clark is the one actually bringing fans into arenas and putting numbers on the board, literally and financially. So when Clark gets slammed, shoved, insulted, and now seemingly mocked without league intervention, fans aren't just angry. They're asking, why is this allowed to happen? Because if the WNBA can't protect the one player that's single-handedly elevating their brand, what exactly are they protecting? And what happens when the next superstar looks at this chaos and decides it's just not worth it? While the league spins in controversy and veterans trade jabs on and off the court, Caitlyn Clark, she's stayed completely silent. No tweets, no interviews, not even a reaction to being called trash or getting shoved to the floor. Just silence. At first, fans saw it as composure, staying focused, refusing to feed the drama. But now, some are wondering if that silence is starting to backfire. Let's not forget, earlier this year, Clark tried to play peacemaker. In a now widely circulated interview, she acknowledged white privilege and spoke about the importance of elevating Black women in the sport. It was a respectful gesture, an olive branch meant to build bridges with her WNBA peers. But Patrick Bet-David's crew sees it differently. They argue that moment was a turning point, the moment Clark lost control of the narrative. Instead of earning respect, they say she gave her critics ammunition. She showed vulnerability in a league where toughness is everything, and in return, she got mocked, hit, and ignored when it counted. PBD's team called it bending the knee, and they didn't mince words. That's why they're going after her. She tried to play nice, and they saw it as weakness. Now, with Clark being targeted physically on the court and ignored, off of it, that strategy of silence is under scrutiny. Fans are asking, how long can she keep turning the other cheek before the damage becomes permanent? Because while she's busy trying to win games and stay above the chaos, the league around her is becoming a battlefield. And the real question is, will her silence protect her or bury her? Let's put all the noise aside for a second and look at the numbers. Ticket sales, merchandise, viewership, media buzz. There's one name at the center of all of it, Caitlyn Clark. She's not just a rookie. She's not just talented. She's a once-in-a-generation marketing machine. Wherever she plays, arenas sell out. Wherever she goes, cameras follow. And yet, instead of rallying around her, some of the league's biggest names are taking shots. Brittney Griner's legacy, a decade in the league and barely a dent in national viewership. Angel Reese, known more for viral moments and post-game shade than actual on-court dominance. Meanwhile, Clark's been in the league for just weeks, and already she's driving. Record-breaking attendance and TV ratings, PBD, and his crew didn't sugarcoat it. This isn't about race, it's about revenue. And right now, the only person making the league money is the one they're letting get bullied. They're not wrong. Since Clark's injury, ticket prices for Indiana Fever games have dropped dramatically. Viewership is already slipping, and if she were to leave or fade out due to injury, the WNBA would take an instant hit, one it may not recover from. Instead of protecting that momentum, some players seem determined to destroy it. Why? Ego? Jealousy? A warped sense of justice? No one knows for sure, but the reality is this. You don't win as a league by attacking your biggest star. The NBA figured that out decades ago. Building up guys like Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, they made sure their stars were the centerpiece, not the punching bag. But in the WNBA, success doesn't seem to be celebrated. It's resented, and if that resentment keeps growing, the damage won't just hit Clark. It'll take the whole league down with it. Now let's get real, because here's the question everyone's still arguing about. Did Patrick Bet-David actually go too far? There's no doubt his words hit hard. Calling out Brittney Griner's attitude was one thing, but dragging in the merchant of death prisoner trade, that was a whole new level of personal. Even some fans who agreed with his overall message admitted it made them uncomfortable. But then again, maybe that was the point. PBD wasn't just reacting, he was making a statement. He wanted to shake people awake, to point out how absurd it is that someone who was rescued through a high-stakes international deal is now trashing the one player saving the league she returned to. Vincent Oshana didn't sugarcoat it either. He said what millions were thinking. This isn't just about basketball, it's about entitlement, hypocrisy, and a league that protects the wrong people. Still, others say PBD crossed a line, that personal attacks like that only inflame tensions and do nothing to help women's sports grow. They argue it turns real issues into clickbait theater, that it lowers the conversation when the league needs leadership and unity more than ever. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Griner's silence only fuels the fire. She hasn't denied the remarks. She hasn't clarified her stance. And now, with these alleged behind-the-scenes rumors swirling, people are filling in the blanks themselves. So did Patrick Bet-David go too far? Or did he just go where no one else was willing to? Because in a league full of politics, posturing, and silent stars, sometimes the loudest voice is the only one that actually gets heard. This was never just about one comment. It's not even just about Patrick Bet-David or Brittney Griner or Caitlyn Clark. What we're watching unfold is a full-on identity crisis inside the WNBA, a league torn between protecting its image and actually building its future. You have one player pulling the league into national relevance and others publicly dragging her down. You have fans showing up for the first time in years, and the league staying silent while its stars take cheap shots at the only reason those fans are even in the building. And then you have Patrick Bet-David, someone outside the league, saying what the league's own leaders won't. You're sabotaging your own product. Was it harsh? Absolutely. But sometimes, harsh truth is the only thing that cuts through the noise. Because here's the bottom line. You can't grow a sport if your biggest stars hate the spotlight. You can't build a league if success makes you a target. And you definitely can't survive if you punish the people bringing fans in while protecting the ones pushing them away. So whether you think PBD went too far or not far enough, one thing is crystal clear. This league is running out of time. And if they don't fix this culture fast, Caitlyn Clark won't be the last star to get pushed out. And that might be the final blow. What do you think? Did Patrick Bet-David cross the line? Or was he just saying what everyone else is? Too scared to admit? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Smash that like button if you're tired of the double standards. And don't forget to subscribe for more unfiltered takes on the biggest stories in sports. This conversation is far from over, and you're not going to want to miss what's coming next.